So you want to start learning cybersecurity, ethical hacking, penetration testing, and you obviously need some practical experience. You can't just excel in penetration testing and cybersecurity by just reading stuff. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to do things by yourself. You want to start hacking vulnerable machines so that you learn to do this stuff in real-time environments. And in order to do all of this, you will need a hacking lab, a machine you can use to do your penetration testing, to learn your penetration testing. And in this video, I'm going to show you the best way you can create your own hacking lab or hacking machine using a concept known as Docker streaming. Now, if you don't know what Docker is, it's a technology that enables you to spawn up different apps that you like in isolated containers. So when you're using an app that is spawned up as an isolated container, anything that you do within this container doesn't affect your PC. So even if something malicious happens, for example, even if you accidentally run a ransomware on your container, it doesn't affect your computer because the container is isolated. Well, Docker streaming, as the name suggests, is a way in which you can directly stream Docker containers to your web browser. In simpler words, you can basically spawn up any app that you like and you can access that app from your web browser. So in this video, we're going to create a Kali Linux machine, which is going to be our hacking lab. And we're also going to use our created hacking lab to hack into a vulnerable machine. So this video gives you everything that you need to set up your own hacking lab and also hack your first vulnerable machine. I don't like to brag on myself, but let me tell you, this video is going to be awesome. So make sure you watch this video until the end. So in this video, we're going to use a platform known as Kasm Workspaces, which is a container streaming platform using which you can basically stream Docker containers, different apps from your web browser itself. So you can basically install Kasm Workspaces on your machine and you can spawn up different pre-built apps from within Kasm, or you can even create your own Docker image and add it to Kasm Workspaces. It's actually incredible how many cool things you can do with Kasm. And also the community version of Kasm Workspaces is available for absolutely free of cost. So you can go ahead with it. As long as you're not using this for your company or organization, the community version provides you everything that you need. So you don't have to go for the professional or enterprise version. You can do this or you can use this for absolutely free of cost. So as I said, you have to first install Kasm Workspaces on your machine. It only works on Linux and you can install it on your local Linux machine if you want. But in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this on my cloud instance. I'm going to create a new VPS server or a cloud instance on my AWS, and I'm going to install Kasm Workspaces on my cloud. The reason I'm doing this is very simple. If I install it on my cloud instance, I can basically access my Kasm Workspaces, my Docker images from anywhere. But if I do it on my local machine, I wouldn't be able to access it from across the internet unless I do some tweaking, I add some port forwarding, all that stuff. And another reason for why I'm doing this on a cloud instance is because when I'm using a cloud instance, it's not even my computer, so I don't have to worry about being compromised to any zero-day attacks. So anyways, if you want to do it on your local machine, it's completely fine, but I'm going to do it on my cloud instance, on my AWS Ec2 instance. So first of all, I'm going to go to my AWS management console. And as I said, I'm going to create an Ec2 instance, basically a virtual computer for myself on AWS. So let me go ahead and click on launch instance here. All right, so I'm going to name it as my Kasm Workspaces. And for the operating system, I'm going to choose Ubuntu because you can clearly see that Ubuntu is a supported operating system. So I'm going to choose Ubuntu here. So here in the instance type, you saw that the minimum system requirements that it has is that it needs to have 2 cores and 4 gigs of memory. So you can see T2.medium has 2 virtual CPUs and 4 gigs of memory, which is the minimum system requirements for Kasm. So I'm going to choose T2.medium. And finally, I'm going to also check allow HTTPS traffic and allow HTTP traffic from the internet. Okay, and finally, you also need at least 50 gigs of SSD storage. So I'm going to change this to, let's say, 55 gigs just to be safe. And yeah, finally, I'll just click on launch instance. Oh, also I have to like create a key pair so that I can log in. I'm going to create a new key pair, launch instance, and there you go. That's creating my instance. All right, so my instance is up and it is running. So now I'll just open my SSH client. I'm using MobiXterm, and I'm going to create a new session, new SSH session. And for the remote host, I'm going to put in the IP address of my AWS instance. So I'm going to copy the IP address. I'm going to paste it here. The username is going to be Ubuntu. And I'm going to log in with my SSH key. So I'm going to go to advanced SSH settings, click on use private key, and I'm going to choose the key that I've just created. Click on OK. And there you go. I'm now logged in to my virtual computer on AWS. So here I can go ahead and install Kasm Workspaces. So in order to install Kasm, you can follow this installation guide, which is officially written by Kasm, or you can just follow my video. First of all, we need to create a swap partition, and you can use these 4 commands to create one. So all these commands will be in the description as well. So you can just copy and paste them on your machine. The next thing you have to do is you have to make the swap file available on boot, and you can make use of this command, just copy paste it. And finally, we can now go ahead and download Kasm Workspaces. So first of all, I'll go into my temp directory so that I have the right permissions, and then I'll use curl to download Kasm Workspaces. All right, so the download is done. Let me go ahead and extract it. I'm going to say tar xf Kasm release blah 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 .tar.gz, and let me type ls again. There you go. It has created a new folder. Let me go into that folder and see all the files here. It has an install.sh script which we have to run to install Kasm Workspaces. I'll say sudo bash install.sh. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take around 5 minutes or so to install Kasm Workspaces and to download all the pre-built images, Docker images. So yeah, just be patient, I guess. Okay, so it's finally done, and you can see it also gives you some login credentials. So make sure that you save all these login credentials because you'll be needing them to log into your Kasm Workspaces. So now that the Kasm Workspaces is installed and set up, all I can do is I'll go back to my AWS console. I'll copy my public IPv4 address, and I'll go to https:// followed by the public IP address. It says the connection is not private. Don't worry. Just click on advanced and click on proceed. And that's going to bring you to your Kasm Workspaces login page like this. So you can use the credentials that it gave you to log in. I'm going to copy this, paste it here. I'll copy the password, paste it here as well. Click on login. And there you go. This is how your Kasm Workspaces dashboard looks like. Now you can click on Workspaces here, and you can see all the pre-built apps that Kasm has installed for you. Now, obviously, if you want to run a new app with Kasm, you can do so by creating your own custom Docker image, and you can add it to Kasm. So let's see what different apps we have installed right here. So you can see we have Telegram. If I just click on that, click on launch session. This is Telegram launched in a private Docker container, private isolated Docker container running on Kasm, and I'm able to access it directly from my browser. So once I'm done using this app, I can just click on this arrow button over here and click on delete session, and this whole session will just completely vanish, leaving no proofs that you ever used Telegram before. So obviously this brings a lot of privacy oriented potential. If you want to stay private, stay anonymous, and you don't want to leave tracks on the internet, you can basically spawn up an app on Kasm and you can destroy your session once you're done with it. Now, similarly, we have Tor Browser as well. You can access the dark web from within a Docker container. The thing that we are interested in is Kali Linux because we're going to use it as our hacking lab. But before we move on to installing Kali Linux, let me show you one really cool thing. Kasm also supports isolated browsing. For example, let's say if you want to open a link which is suspicious and you don't want to risk yourself from getting any malware from that link, you can directly open this link in your Kasm Workspaces with the help of their Chrome extension. So you can just go to Chrome Web Store and search for Kasm and go ahead and install this extension. And once you're done, just click on options And over here, you have to give in your Kasm URL, which is basically going to be https:// followed by your public IPv4 address, and click on save. And you can also choose whether you want to open the link in a new tab or a new window. I'm going to choose new tab here, click on save. And there's just one more thing that you have to do. You can just come over to your profile, click on edit profile. And in the settings section, you can choose the default workspace image. So I'm going to choose Firefox, for example. And what this basically means is when I'm opening a link with Kasm, it's going to directly spawn up a Firefox container, and it's going to open that link in this Firefox container. Let me show you an example. Let's say I want to open this link, but I'm not sure if this link is safe. So what I can do is I can right click on this link. And now that I have the Kasm Chrome extension installed, I can just directly click on open link in Kasm and look what happens. It's going to automatically take me to my Kasm workspaces, and it's going to spawn up the Firefox instance, and it's going to open up that link in my Firefox container, which is awesome, right? And this is a great way for anyone to research suspicious links. So yeah, that's the cool thing that I wanted to show you. Now let's move on back. Let's go ahead and install Kali Linux. And over here, you can see that Kali Linux exists, but it says that the image is currently disabled. So we have to actually first enable it in order to use it. In order to enable it, just go to admin and go to images and search for Kali Linux in this list. There it is. You can see Kali Linux is there. So you have to enable it. Just click on these three dots, click on edit, and you can just check this mark that says enabled. And you also need to make one small change to your Docker run config. So I'll leave this JSON config in the description below. You can just copy it and paste it into this text box here. And basically what it does is it spawns up the Kali Linux container as root user so that you have all the necessary permissions. And it's going to also enable you to use Openvpn inside your Kali Linux container. So this is an important step. Make sure you do this. If you miss this step, you're going to face into issues later. So once you're done, just scroll down and click on submit. And that's going to update the image. Now it's going to take some time for Kasm to download the Docker image of Kali Linux and set it up. So yeah, just wait for like 5 to 6 minutes and Kali Linux should be available. All right, so it looks like Kali Linux is available now. I'll just click on it and click on launch session, and voila, there you go. This is my Kali Linux hacking lab. And now that we have our own personal hacking lab, I'm also going to show you how to hack and exploit your first ever vulnerable machine. So in this video, I'm going to try to hack this TryHackMe room called internal. So basically this is an intentionally vulnerable machine or website that is created to practice your pen testing skills and to learn new skills. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to spawn up this machine. And now in order to access this machine and start exploiting it, I have to connect to the VPN of TryHackMe. So I can connect to the VPN. I'll click on see instructions here. And over here, I can choose the region that is nearest to me. I'm going to choose India here, and I'll download my configuration file. So this is going to download the Openvpn configuration file, which I can use to connect to the TryHackMe network. So let me go back to my Kali Linux machine, and I'll click on this arrow icon here, click on upload, and then I'll drag and drop my Openvpn configuration file. Perfect, that's uploaded now. So I'll just open my terminal. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the root user so that I have all the necessary permissions. So now I'm root, and I will now go to the uploads directory, which is where my Openvpn file is. So now I'll use Openvpn to connect with this configuration file. So I'll say Openvpn followed by my Openvpn configuration file. All right, so it seems like we ran into an issue. And if you look closely at the error message that it gives us, it seems like we are having an older version of Openvpn, which is actually causing this issue. So in order to fix this, we're going to upgrade to the latest version of Openvpn. And in order to do that, I'll first update my repositories by saying sudo apt get update. And once that is done, I'll just say sudo apt install Openvpn, which should upgrade it to its latest version. All right, now that we have upgraded Openvpn, let's try that again. Openvpn followed by my file. And when it says initialization sequence completed, that is when you know that you are successfully connected to this VPN. All right, so now that I am connected to the VPN, I'll make sure that I'm able to reach this particular machine. So I'll just ping it, ping 10.10.169, is it? 109.64. Let's see if we get any response. There you go. We are actually getting response from that machine, which means we are able to access that machine. So now let's go ahead and try to actually hack this vulnerable machine. The first thing in pen testing is doing proper recon. You have to know your target better. You have to know which ports are open, for example. You have to know what services are running on your target machine and all that stuff, so that you can better understand and you can better plan an attack on your target machine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make use of a tool called Nmap, which can scan for open ports on a particular host. So first I'll just make sure Nmap is installed. There you go. It is installed. So I'll say Nmap followed by the IP address, which is going to be 10.10.109.64, and I'll mention the tag SC and SV. And what these additional flags give you is that they can identify what services are running on different ports, and they can also try to identify the versions of these services. So I'm going to run this command and let's see what Nmap gives us. All right, so Nmap is done. You can see that there are 2 ports open. The first one is on 22 and the service is SSH. And then the next one is port 80, which is a HTTP service. So now since we know that there is a HTTP service running, we can actually try to access it. So if I actually open up my web browser and go to http://10.10.109.64, there you go. That is the web page that it is serving. It happens to be an Apache 2 default page like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enumerate directories on this particular website, and I'll be making use of a tool known as GoBuster. I hope it's installed. It's not installed, so I'm just going to go ahead and install it quickly. So what GoBuster does is it can basically enumerate directories. It can take a word list that contains different directories, and it can check if these directories exist on an endpoint, on the target that you're trying to pen test. All right, so GoBuster is installed. So I'll say GoBuster followed by dir, because we are trying to do directory enumeration. And then I'll give the target which I want to enumerate, which is 10.10.109.64. Followed by the word list. I'm going to use this particular word list, directory list 2.3 medium.txt. I'll just copy that, paste it here, and I'm going to run that. Oh, actually, I need to mention the URL with a URL flag, I guess. So I'll just say -u before that. Oh, and also mention the word list flag, -w there. And there you go. The process has started, and instantly you can notice that GoBuster was able to notice 3 directories: /blog, /WordPress, and /JavaScript. So let's check them out. So if I go to /blog here, so it appears to be like a WordPress website. Cool. So now we know that there exists a WordPress website on this vulnerable machine, and that is probably going to be our way of getting into this machine. So I'm going to go back to /blog, and I'm going to try and hack this particular WordPress website. When it comes to WordPress hacking, there is this wonderful article written by hacktricks.xyz. You can refer to it and you can learn different ways in which you can exploit WordPress website. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to enumerate the different users of this WordPress website. So if I come back to this article, you can see that there is a method using which you can brute force the IDs. You can basically make a request to this endpoint and see if it returns something. And based on the response you receive, you'll be able to enumerate the users. So let me try that. I'm going to copy this endpoint here, copy, I'm going to open a new tab, and over here I have to obviously change this host. It's going to be 10.10.109.64/blog, and let's see. All right, so it seems like it worked. It has actually showed us one of the username, which is admin. So if I change this other parameter to 2, okay, it says that the page can't be found. So if I change it to 3, same thing. So I guess we can assume that there is only one WordPress user, and the username of that user is admin. Meanwhile, the dirbuster scan is still running in the background, and it was also able to find one more directory called /phpMyAdmin. Let's see what that is about. Great. So that's a phpMyAdmin portal. So if I have the username and password for this, I can basically log in and make changes to the database. And let's see if I have access to the WP admin with WordPress login. Okay, that's weird because it has actually redirected me to a domain called internal.ts. .thm, which failed to resolve because there exists no DNS record for this particular domain. So we can actually fix this by editing our etc/host file. So I'll quickly fix that. I'll go ahead and I'll open up etc/host in my Vim editor. And over here, I'm going to add a new entry at the end. It's going to be 10.10.109.64. And the domain is going to be internal.thm. And I'm going to save that. So now if I go back and if I reload this page, there you go. It worked now. Now it was able to resolve internal.thm into this host. And here is the WordPress login page. Now, since I know the username, which is admin, I can try to brute force the password, but that wouldn't work because after a certain number of attempts, WordPress is just going to block you. Like, let's say after 5 incorrect attempts, you're just going to be blocked and you can't make any more attempts. So that wouldn't be an efficient method to hack this website. So let's try to look for something else. And you know what? There is this file known as xmlrpc.php, which you should disable on your WordPress website when you are launching it to production. So basically, this file enables you to make remote calls to your WordPress website. And it's meant for development purposes. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Let's see if this xmlrpc.php file is disabled on our target. So if I go back to this and if I say /blog/xmlrpc.php, it says that XML RPC server accepts post requests only. This means that XML RPC is indeed active. It's not disabled, it's still enabled, which means that we can make remote calls to this WordPress website. And what remote calls can we make? Well, there's actually a very well-explained segment in this article that shows you how XML RPC can be exploited. So you can basically perform a credential brute force if XML RPC is enabled on a WordPress website. And the advantage that this gives you over brute forcing the normal WordPress login page is that there are no limits. You can brute force it, you can send how many ever requests you want, and you will not get banned. There is no limit, which is awesome from a hacker's perspective. You can just keep brute forcing until you find the password. So you can write your own script to brute force it. You basically have to send a post request with some XML data like this, mentioning the remote call that you want to invoke and the parameters to that remote call, and you will get a response. But there exists a lot of pre-written scripts which are written by someone else, so we'll just be using that. So in this article, they linked us to one of that script called wp-exploit. So let me go ahead and try to use that. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to just clone that repository, install the requirements. All right, so let me run it. Python exploit.py followed by the URL, which is going to be internal.thm/blog. And then I also have to mention the number of threads and the timeout, 15 seconds. So let's see if that is working. Okay, it says it's not able to connect to the target website. And I guess that is because I've used HTTPS instead of HTTP. So let me go ahead and fix that. And let's see if it works now. Okay, please provide the username. We know the username is admin. And I'm going to use the default word list. And let's see if it is able to retrieve the password. Oh, and look at what we have here. The script was able to find out the password, and the password turns out to be my two boys. So now we have the username and the password. So let me go ahead to the WordPress dashboard and let me log in with the credentials. I'm gonna copy that, paste it here, click on login, and this is the WordPress dashboard, and I now have administrative access to it. Now we have successfully hacked this WordPress website, but we are not done yet. We only have access to this particular website, but what we want to do is we want to also get access to the machine on which this WordPress website is running. In other words, we want to get access to the whole server. It's actually pretty simple. Now that we have the access to WordPress dashboard, what we can do is we can upload a reverse shell using the WordPress dashboard, and we can connect to that reverse shell and get access to the server. Okay, so I'll go to theme editor here, and here are all the files that I can edit and save. So if I go to the 404 template, which is located at 404.php, this is the contents of the file. So what I'll do is I'll just replace this PHP code with my own PHP reverse shell. So I'll be using this particular PHP reverse shell written by Pentesitng. So let me go ahead and copy all this code. And I'll just replace this code with my PHP reverse shell. Before I can save this, I have to mention my IP address so that it knows where to connect to when this reverse shell is invoked. So in order to do that, I have to change my IP address. So I'll open my terminal and I can type in ifconfig, and this is my IP address inside TryHackMe's network. So I'll just copy that and I'll replace it with my IP address, and I'll be using a port like, let's say 1560. All right, so that should be enough. Let me update the file edited successfully. So now when I go to http internal.thm/blog/404.php, that should invoke my PHP reverse shell. But before I go to this, I have to first set up a listener on my computer so that when this reverse shell is activated, I get a connection. So I'll make use of netcat for this. I'll say netcat-lvnp, and the port that I've used is 1560. So I'll just listen on that port. So now I'll go back and go to this URL. It seems like it did not work. So it should be /wb content/themes followed by the name of the theme, which is 2017/404.php. And let's see if that works. So I'll just check my listener, and there you go. We actually got a reverse shell. So if I type in who am I now, we are actually www data. So now I have an actual reverse shell to this server. So it seems like there's only one user. So we did manage to get a reverse shell to this machine, but honestly speaking, we are still not done yet. There's one more thing that's left to do, which is to escalate our privileges to this particular user. And I'll leave that as a task for you to do. So go ahead and try it out. Let me know in the comment section below if you're able to do it. If you get stuck at any point, you can refer to the walkthroughs. There are many walkthroughs available for this TryHackMe room. But I would say, do not blindly copy those walkthroughs. Try to understand what is being done in the walkthroughs, and that's going to give you a lot of learning potential. Trust me, the best way to learn pen testing is to go through walkthroughs and understanding what other people have done to successfully exploit a target machine. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Everything that I've shown in this video is available for absolutely free of cost. You don't have to spend a penny to do this. You can create your own hacking lab for free of cost. If you have a local machine, you can do it for free of cost. But if you want to do it on cloud, you have to rent a virtual computer, but that's completely up to you. You can do it on your local computer as well. And then the TryHackMe room that I've shown you is also available for free. You can access and exploit it for absolutely free of cost. All right, so that'll be it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did like this video, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up below. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, hit that subscribe button and also turn on the bell icon to receive instant updates from my channel. So I'll see you in the next video. Until then, cheers.